that is what makes this technology very, very powerful. What are the kind of more exciting developments or use cases that you've seen within Web3? And as your personal opinion, you feel that these use cases are really going to shape the future of the technology and society?
There is one very interesting stuff that we are almost done with that. Is that
Okay.
how to make people? Um, we are kind of creating a framework again.
Hmm.
It's called as purpose token.
Okay.
I have done my purpose of helping somebody today.
Hmm.
I have done my purpose of being clean. So, for
Okay.
example, I'm going to a movie theater. I have
Right.
ordered for a Coke and I
Hmm.
drank, and I don't leave it in the seat and go.
Right.
I take that the glass or cup or the bottle, whatever it is, and then put it in back in the dustbin. I take a picture and I share it. They get some tokens for that,
Hmm.
for being a good human being.
Right. Okay.
So
So,
this is something which we are creating, and we are pretty excited about this. And we are also working very closely with the film fraternity, like
okay.
don't smoke, don't drink, kind of a card that comes in the beginning.
Hmm.
Um, you know, uh, be purposeful.
Right.
So we are trying to create this, and we are trying to popularize this as much as possible, so that there is a purposeful living with people around the world.
Right. So isn't this like a lot akin to what, and this might be a very bad analogy because that is an extreme example. Like, China has these, I think they also have a mechanism in which they kind of, reward people with good civic sense and behavior. And this is just something that they're trying out, I think, in a few cities. And anybody who's perhaps, has some traffic violations in their name, and other such examples, their a score that is being associated with them is affected negatively in that case. Is this something similar, or am I getting this entirely wrong?
I won't say it is similar,
Hmm.
but I mean, see, it's happening in bits and pieces.
Okay.
But it is not. See, if I am saying that you are a good citizen,
Right.
you prove to be a good citizen, you will get rewarded for that.
Right.
So whatever may be the reward, that is where you start feeling like purposeful. I have done
Hmm.
something, and because this is available, I mean, it will take time. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Because it's
Right.
available for multiple communities and in multivarious places, you might be changing me tomorrow. Oh my God, I should also do this, and I should have also done this.
Right.
This we are extending it to even the stray animals, which,
Okay.
which is plenty in our country.
Right.
So I see a dog which is suffering in the road, like I take the dog and go to give it in Red Cross. So I take a picture, and this is what I have done. So I get rewarded out of this. So I have helped the dog. At the same time, I'm getting rewarded for that.
Okay. All right. This is very, very interesting as a concept, I think, and we would love to. Obviously, as you said, this is a work in progress. And when do you expect like a prototype to be ready around this?
Uh, we are trying to do a couple of POCs. So you should be hearing about this very soon.
All right. Okay. That sounds wonderful. I think this can be a great initiative, and it can really, perhaps, as you said, this can re-emphasize purposeful living. And I think we all need a little bit of that in our lives in this day and age.
See, more than the old guy like me, the younger generation are much more purposeful,
Hmm. They,
especially.
I think it is an individual to individual thing. I don't know if it is an age thing, because you are somebody who's come up with such a wonderful idea, and you keep calling yourself old. I think uh, that that doesn't that's not really relevant, I think, here. And moreover, I think age is just is a number in people's head. You can be as old as and as young as perhaps you feel mentally and physically.
I only I agree with whatever you're saying, and I don't want to quote any names here because
Hmm.
it belongs to a political party.
Right.
Heard him saying that the age is just a number,
Hmm.
and if you're old or young, it is in your thinking and not in your age.
Hmm.
So if your thinking is young and you are young.
Right. Yeah.
So what I meant was that the today's kids are much more conscious about environment and all those things, and they are driving their parents to be more purposeful. That's what I
Hmm.
want to say.
Right. I think I completely agree. I think there is a lot to do with the next generation and how they kind of introduce their parents to new ideas and newer concepts. And as long as people are open, to entertaining those new ideas, growth never stops. So now, moving past that, and I would love to know from you because, we've heard a lot about the metaverse in the last few years, and it was the absolute next big thing, or it was touted as the next big thing, at least a year and a half back. And obviously now, then AI kind of came into the picture and that became the next big thing. So you are somebody who's deeply involved in both tech as well as entertainment. What are your thoughts on the potential of the metaverse? And how do you think it stands to transform the way in which we interact with digital content?
Metaverse adoption is growing day by day,
Right.
and it is growing not in any one particular industry. It is growing in all the industries. Fashion, there are a lot of these brands which are already there in metaverse. You take Gucci, you take Louis Vuitton, all of them are there. Adidas is there, Nike is there, and this is not getting restricted to brands alone. Say, for example, I'll give you one example in the media industry. There is one of my connects, like was telling that whenever there is a film fair that happens, like people ask me for passes, and it's very difficult to get passes. So, Filmfare is planning to move to Metaverse also. It will be an additional one there. The culture and heritage is looking at moving into Metaverse. So
Okay.
we are trying to promote virtual museums, virtual temples. Where I can't go to Vaishno Devi very that easily, but I can go
Hmm.
to Vaishno Devi in Metaverse.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah, that's really true.
the metaverse is getting adapted day by day into multiple industry. Construction industry is looking at metaverse very seriously. Um, so it is not restricted to any particular industry. That is
Right.
uh, that
Right.
is one of the reasons in Inside Blockchain Alliance we have metaverse as a horizontal and not as a vertical,
Hmm.
because this horizontal will be catering to all the verticals, and that's how the adaptation of metaverse into multiple industries will happen.
Right. Yeah. That is absolutely true. I think, yeah, you've mentioned how a metaverse is making waves and finding a lot of use cases with the real estate as well, and that we have seen. Like I've seen it in places, obviously here as well as in the Middle East. I think a lot of these real estate companies are trying to utilize metaverse to drive in more sales and give their potential users a more cohesive experience.
Also, this is going to come into the manufacturing industry also,
Hmm.
and also in the service industry. How do you assemble and disassemble a machine?
Right.
Metaverse can help them there.
Right. Yeah. I think the use cases are they're phenomenal. There's an incredible number of use cases, and it's very important that people start thinking beyond the finance sector when it comes to blockchain technology. Because, like we've mentioned throughout this conversation, I do believe that this technology has the potential to really revolutionize a lot of sectors other than finance.
You, what we are also trying to promote is VR journalism,
Right.
newspapers and metaverse.
Hmm. Wow, I think that is so important, especially in this day and age of disinformation, and India ranking very high in the amount of disinformation that is being propagated here. That should be a very, very useful tool, and I think that'll become like a norm in the coming years. That any kind of, especially with the advent of AI and so much information being pumped out and content being created, I think it will become something of a norm that any information or pertinent pieces of information that are being pushed out, they would have to be backed by some authenticity, and credibility would have to be lent by a blockchain.
Yes. Also, in terms of the fact checking, we
Hmm.
are we are working on how AI can enable fact checking so that it becomes
Wow,
well.
that's wonderful. I think it's very important. I think these as technology keeps growing, that there are some checks and balances in place.
And also the news industry is trying to use AI. So there is one news item that has been published, and how AI can create different versions of that news item to cater
Hmm.
to different people.
Wow. Right. Yeah, that is again very pertinent, and this gives you a lot to sort of think about. But again, I'm glad that you guys are looking at these very pertinent use cases, and you are trying to figure out what is perhaps the best way forward. Just introducing these ideas, evangelizing about this technology, I think is a very big leap forward. But we've been talking about the opportunities quite a bit, and we are sadly running a little bit out of time. But I would be amiss if I didn't ask you about the challenges that you see for this technology, especially in India and for the builders.
Um, there is no challenge at all. People are willing to accept,
Okay. Hmm.
people are willing to adapt,
Okay.
people are willing to transform, provided you guide them properly.
Right. And what does that entail?
Sorry.
So what does that entail? Like, you mentioned that people are ready to change and adapt if you're guiding them properly. What would, how would you define guiding people properly?
So, for example, one of the companies that we were talking,
Hmm.
uh, because we were not-for-profit organization, he was open in saying that I don't understand what Web3 is. You explain what Web3 is, I'll adapt to Web3.
Right.
You tell me how it is going to change my life, how it is going to make things easier for me, we will adapt to Web3. So,
Hmm.
what I'm coming to say is that there is no mindset issue with people as long as you guide them in the right direction.
Right. Yes. As long as perhaps they're getting the right kind of information, and being supported with examples of how they can perhaps uh, do this or implement this in this technology in the vertical that they are working, they would be open to, as you mentioned, they are open to adopting and changing.
So, I will give you one small example about the publishing industry.
Hmm.
So, what we did was we said, you are a book publisher, and I
Hmm.
like your book, but I don't want to buy the entire book. I want to buy only one chapter.
Hmm.
Blockchain allows you to do that.
Hmm.
Instead of me buying a book for 100 rupees, I buy a chapter for 10 rupees because that is what I'm going to read
Hmm.
and that is what I'm interested in.
Right. Yeah, that is a very interesting way to put it, and I think this conversation has all been about these wonderful insights and something to Really, it gives you something to think about, and I think that is what makes the best of conversations. Now, on a little bit of a lighter note, if you could have dinner with any prominent figure, perhaps in Web3, who would it be and why?
Raj Kapoor.
Right. Yes. So Raj Kapoor, he was the founder, right?
He's the
And we've had
founder.
him on the show.
Yeah, I know. He is the founder of IBA, and
Yeah.
he is a serious evangelist of Web3 technology.
Hmm.
And he is the one who very firmly believes that if you tell the right thing to right people, people will take you seriously.
Right. 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 I think he that conversation was very pretty amazing as well, and he the kind of enthusiasm that he has for blockchain technology, and the way he kind of puts it in a simple way that it's very easy to digest. Uh, it would make for a fabulous dinner meeting for you guys for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we are nearly out of time, and I would again, this is something that I ask everybody who comes on the show because you've been on the other side in Web 2, and you've seen technology evolving with time, and now you're in Web 3. If you had to give suggestions or some kind of advice for builders or any kind of a user perhaps who is looking at Web 3 with a bit of um skepticism, what would be your suggestions to them for them to be able to start living on blockchain?
Believe in yourself.
Okay, and just go ahead and build what you want to build.
I will back it up with a small example.
Hmm.
Uh, I won't, uh, I will name him also because he is no more now. Steve Jobs.
Right,
He uh, he bought the license of iPod, the first one which Apple came, and he bought the license from somebody, and he never used it for years together.
right,
And when the guy who sold that stuff to him, he asked him, "You spent so much money in buying this from me, and you're not using it at all." He said, "Just wait. I know when to release it, and I know how to release it." That's
right.
very important. Now, like one, believe in yourself, and two,
Hmm.
know when this will succeed.
Right, time it right, right? Timing is everything.
Time it right. That's
It's very
very
important.
important. That's
Yeah,
very, very important.
absolutely. I cannot agree more. I think those are wonderful suggestions. You have to absolutely have faith if you're going to really push the boundaries of technology in some way, or if you're going to be building anything new. And you need to time it right because at times there are products that do come in the market and the timing is just not right and they fail to take off. And it's not really um, perhaps a comment on the founder or the product at all. It is more to do with just the time and how perhaps you misread the market.
One more very, very important advice I would like. I mean, I'm sorry to call it as advice, because I've seen so many in my life.
Hmm.
Somebody is creating something that they feel like God, which is true. I mean, there is no doubt about that. But at the same time, just be open for criticism.
Right. Yes, that's
Don't
very
take it,
important.
don't take it to your head, but evaluate those criticism because there might be some very valuable input that is coming out of that criticism.
Hmm. That is true. Like if somebody, obviously, you need to know from where do you need to sort of accept that criticism or how much, attention do you need to pay heed to that particular source. But it's always good, like constructive criticism, and if you can incorporate it in how you're doing things, it's only going to be something that takes you further in life.
Yes. Well, who knows? We are already having some thousands of Steve Jobs sitting around us.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. So this has been such a wonderful conversation, Ganesh, and I really wish that we had more time. But do have to wrap this up. Do you have any parting words before we do?
Uh, It was wonderful talking to you, and thanks for asking all the very, 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 very important questions. And I'm really, really happy that we had a chat, Tarusha.
Likewise, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, Ganesh. Thank you so much for making the time.
Thanks, Tarusha.